Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And tonight, join us as we answer the question, veterinary school and cannibalism, what do they have in common? As we explore Raw. I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
I'm Justine.
And I'm Jonathan.
This must be one of them liberal arts schools I've been hearing about.
You know those libtards love their cannibalism, won't support the meat industry, but will take meat right off your back.
Right-wing Justine, when did you get in here?
I've always been here.
Oh my god.
I just need like that air horn buzz.
Yeah,
Man,
the
I
revelation
need to
of the
download that app
character.
again. That
Oh
was
man.
great.
Raw.
Yeah, who knew that veterinary schools in France are absolutely insane?
They do not. This isn't a good pamphlet, to advertise
No,
this
yeah.
school. I wouldn't go here.
I don't know. People who were there look like they were really proud to
Yeah,
be
really.
part of, just into the hazing.
Yeah,
Bunch of
just
masochists.
throwing.
Could be.
Yeah, just throwing people's bedding out, saying you can't sleep before we do. Like, who are these people?
We'll have to talk more about
The hierarchy.
what's going on at this school that the whole film is set at. But before we do that, we should talk about who made it.
Yes. So you're saying some production notes.
Some production notes.
Wow.
Because we've talked
Wow.
about another film
Yes.
that this director made.
So this is Raw. It was released in 2016. It was directed and written by Julia Ducournau. She is known for Titan.
Titan.
Titan, or Titan in French.
Titan.
Released just last year, right?
This was Titan was released
Yeah.
last year. This was her debut.
So Raw
film.
is her feature debut,
Yep.
which is insane
Which
for a feature debut.
Which is the one that she premiered at the 2016 Cannes Film Festival, along with Neon Demon, which we have talked about before.
We have talked about Neon Demon.
It was screened in the International's Critics Week selection at the 2016 Cannes Film Festival, where it won the FIPRESI prize.
Yeah, FIPRESI, for anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's essentially like an award separate from the Cannes Film Festival that they created for pieces of work they thought are important and something they should preserve. Similar to how we have our National Archive, where we'll archive films and things like that in the United States. This is what they do for a lot of European countries.
They are described as promoting the development of film culture and for safeguarding of professional interests.
They felt it was kind of snubbed at most of the festivals. Like the Cannes Film Festival didn't give it a single award besides this one that it got from this organization, which is kind of a surprise. But I mean, I'm not that surprised because the Cannes Film Festival has become kind of nonsense and bullshit. I'll talk a lot of shit about the Cannes Film Festival because they only ever give awards to dramas.
It's Cannes Film Festival.
That's it.
Can.
Every single winner for the last 10 years has been a drama film about somebody. Most of the time it's somebody losing somebody they love and then they're remorseful, and that's the story.
Oh, jeez.
And so they haven't given any awards really to horror films, to action films, any other types.
Yeah. Speaking about the debut of this film, over 30 people puked.
Nice.
A couple people fainted. A lot of people left. It was just
I feel like that would feel good as a director to be like,
Oh, yeah.
I made somebody get up and fucking have a bodily reaction to what's going on in the film,
Goals.
Yeah, just make people throw up. Good job.
There's a small detail. Garance Marelier is in both Titan and Raw with the same name of Justine, which has led fans to believe that he's basically making this. They're basically making the same movie in the same universe.
Yeah, it looks like the director is creating a universe to make her movies in, and there's a lot of cross references to the names that she uses. In the
Same
film.
with Adrienne and Alexis.
She also really likes car crashes.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yes.
it's there's running themes in her body of work.
When it was released, it was met with heavy criticism for its violence, despite receiving very positive critic reviews, which doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think that this was in comparison to fucking Titan. No.
Yeah, honestly, there was a bit more violence, I think, in the other one. I think they were probably disturbed because it was a grotesque kind of thing that you were watching. where you see her pull hair out of her mouth and like throwing up. She gets blood poured on her.
That's like the
Flesh
only
gets ripped off.
Like the hair scene is the only one that really upset me at all. Like made me like upset. Like even like eating the finger like it's a chicken bone. Like didn't really bother me all that much. I'm like, yeah, she's a cannibal. What do you want? Like
we do have to note too that all of us have seen over 100 horror films at this point in the podcast, so we may not be so.
Oh, I'm desensitized as fuck, dude. Nothing shocks me.
You put gray paint on them, they're zombies.
I feel like if I had seen this movie on a big screen with a big crowd of people, I might have had a different reaction.
Yeah.
But watching it in my living room, the only scenes that really like rubbed me the wrong way were anything having to do with dissections, especially of animals.
I'm pretty sure they used like live animal, or not live animals, but like the cadavers of real animals for these scenes. They weren't like fake.
I wish I had information on that, but I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah, I couldn't find
they
anything.
They look like real fucking animals.
The place that they filmed at is an actual vet school you can go to in Belgium.
Shit.
Which is kind of crazy.
Must be kind of weird.
Well, so a lot of interesting things that I found out was that there's a lot of stories that come out of the vet schools, specifically in France and some parts of Europe. The reason they're claiming that they're so crazy is because they want the vet to be prepared to like put down animals, basically. That you're not going to be like mentally broken by seeing so many like pets pass. And
or
so
like,
they'll do outrageous hazing things while you're at the school.
I could imagine having to do surgery on a dog is a lot different after you've gone through 4 years of getting blood and guts spilled on you.
Yeah, definitely. So there is some truth to it, but not a lot of it's confirmed, because who the hell is going to confirm they stuffed a kid in a horse? Like this, like,
you need to explain this story because this is wild.
There was an interview with somebody who was doing investigative journalism into the vet schools after this film came out, because they wanted to know the legitimacy of the like insane hazing rituals at these vet schools. Most people wouldn't talk to this author, but some people who did, especially previous students, one of them admitted that they were dosed with ketamine, so they passed out. They were then put into the corpse of a dead horse, which they sewed shut and left them in there. And then as they were trying to get out, there was people around chanting for them to get out. And they had to rip their way out of a dead horse carcass. And then once they were out, they gave them some beer and they were like, "Congratulations, you passed."
I have one thing to say. Why the fuck wasn't that in the movie? Like that? Oh, hell yeah. Like, let's go.
An insane story. No way of knowing for sure if this actually happened. But there is a lot of stories around it. And so it's not a fake thing that the director made up for the film.
I mean, like frat hazing and sorority hazing. These are things that everyone knows exist.
True.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
No, I remember when I had first started at the university I'm at now, a huge story was going around about a kid that had died in one of the frat houses because he fell off a bunk. Now, people are saying that he was just drunk and fell off the bed, but people are also speculating that was due to hazing. They made him drink an excessive amount. He got alcohol poisoning, fell out of his bed, and no one came to help him because they thought, whatever, he's being hazed, like he'll get over it. Turns out the kid died. So then they had a fucking corpse in their room they had to take care of.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hazing's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to work in an area where it was only sorority and fraternity people. Fun people, but holy shit. I was the only person in community college in this group.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that just... The whole intro of this film, which we'll get to in just a second, is just... It's all... I felt like some of it was for shock value, but there's an interesting criticisms that go around. There's one critic who's suggesting that the name Justine is a direct reference to an old... author, a novella author who wrote in France during a certain time, who used to write a lot of like imagined libertine sexuality kind of things, basically like your male fantasy kind of stuff, where all of the women were subjected to like really terrible shit, a lot of trauma. And the main character of that book, Justine, goes through like the worst possible thing. And so,
great.
Yeah, right. I know they're suggesting that the name was pulled from that because she's then trying to reinterpret what a sexual awakening might look like for a woman and how people accept it. And that's kind of like what the film touches on a bit.
And then this Justine character was also in Titan.
Yes, so the same exact actor is in Titan, and she also has the same name. So it could be that this character exists in both movies as the same person.
Which could lead you to believe that this director is trying to create their own essential universe out of their films.
Right, yeah. They're probably gonna continue with their next film and do something similar, but they've already kind of marked a strong presence.
I kind of like having the same cast of three names that are the same.
Yeah,
I think that's really neat.
they also used Adrian is the other name that they were using. I think you already told Garance Marlier. Is that how you say her last name?
Garance Marier.
Marier, thank you.
It's Justine.
Yeah.
You want to go through the cast because you have more French than I do.
I mean, I literally just took like 2 semesters of French in high school, but I'll see what I can do.
Way more than I did.
Yeah.
I know that the French have.
Don't
Yep.
antagonize the French. Come on.
Wait, why not?
Why not? Oh, man.
They have some
Alright,
cool
so
ballet.
Garance Marier as Justine, Ella Rumpf as Alexia, Nabane Opheya as Adrienne, Laurent Lucas as father, Joanna Paris as mother, Bouli Lanier as the driver, Marianne Vergniaud as the nurse, Jean-Louis Sibel as the professor.
Ah, yes.
Nice, nice.
Interesting
Good
that
French
nobody
ratings.
else is named, with the exception of the main characters. Nobody else matters, sort of, in this story. So, kind of a good place to start. What the hell is the film about? What is this actually about? Because it's not just about her eating people. You know, like, what does that cannibalism actually represent, and what is she sort of hungry for?
Sexuality could be one of them, because it's something that like you keep to yourself sometimes, you know what I mean? And if people found out about it, then they wouldn't like you. Maybe.
There is some talk about what the students were looking for at the university. There's a small story when she goes to see the doctor, and she tells her about another girl who was constantly ridiculed for her weight
Yeah.
when she just wanted to fit in. And so they were kind of asking, what do these young people want out of their lives by coming to a place like that?
To
They want to
fit
be
in,
average.
to feel a part of something. So we were having this discussion as we were watching the movie about why no one was fighting back against the hazing. And
Right.
here's the thing that I've come to understand about universities is they are like a cult. Basically, if you are not in a fraternity or a sorority and gone through the process of being initiated into those groups, you don't matter. The universities are very cliquey, in which if you're not part of the main group, you will be ridiculed, you will be left out of conversations, you'll be left out of projects, you won't be communicated with as much, you are othered because of that. And that's what these people are trying to avoid, is they wanted to be initiated into this group to feel accepted and to have the support of the people around them, rather than having these people work against you, because they will work against you.
Yeah.
I've seen that. My friend was talking about it with what he's going through right now. I went through the same thing when I was at a university, because I came in as a transfer. I didn't go through the fraternity, sorority.
You're literally
been there
talking
for
about
4
my
years
job
route.
in 2015.
Yeah,
Oh,
deadass.
jeez.
Another big point about that too is that on their arrival, they're told that they're going to go through something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also tell them at some point they will not go through it anymore. That there's a point they'll get to where they're sort of accept it. So like this is something they're sort of looking forward to, is to be a part of the group, no matter how crazy they are or seem to be.
I did a little bit of reading on people's thoughts on hazing, because personally I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Same.
And bad. But every single like group is going to do it differently, and some are going to be more extreme than others. Some are just straight up dangerous. Some are very like playful little things, you know what I mean, that don't really harm anyone.
Some are borderline crimes.
Yeah,
Or
there you
are
go.
crimes.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, I mean it's very mixed up, but I think that the main thing that people seem to understand about hazing is it's a matter of like creating that camaraderie between the people. So like if we've all gone through the thing, it's why like military buddies are so close, like even afterwards, you know, because they're like we've all gone through the same like traumatic bullshit together, so they like bond over that. So it's like synthetically creating a bond between people by putting them through dumb shit. Like, you know, it's different when you're in war or something, or like poverty or some shit, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, it's a different thing.
Well, for the film, they make it a point that she arrives and immediately gets hazed. this is a thing that they do to all the new students. They call them all rookies.
And they have to refer to the older students as elders or great ones.
Yeah, which is also a hilarious and wild thing. So the story itself is kind of outrageous to begin with, but somehow gets really well grounded in the fact that it's a coming of age story for the main character. As she is discovered, so it's mentioned, she mentions it herself that she's a virgin when she arrives at the school. And that's like a big thing I think she's worried about. So the whole like part of the film is a like really grotesque sexual awakening for her in the form of cannibalism and how she connects that to her sexual experience with other people. And that's sort of something that gets explored throughout the film, but in the most uncomfortable way, because this is another film that was not made for like people to watch and enjoy it. You know,
this almost had an NC-17 rating.
I believe that. Yeah. Because of what was included. They probably cut more intense things out.
Oh yeah.
They
kept the entire horse sewing sheet. No,
right. Yeah. That whole thing is gone.
What I think, like this story talks a lot about trauma, talks a lot about sexuality and growing up, but it also like talks a good amount about the institution and like how schooling does and what it does to people, as well as like that setting you said, like a fraternity or sorority. Camaraderie is a big thing, and there's also a lot of camaraderie with trauma.
Because you've lived the same experience, you're probably going to end up being closer because of it.
Simply like we find, I mean, it's even referenced in like the recent season of Stranger Things that the two characters, Nancy and Drew or whatever, Nancy and the Iron Maiden looking guy, they basically like they go through the entire shit under the other, and they lose Beth. And so they realize that they have to be together because no one else has gotten as fucked up as they have in a different parallel universe. Yeah.
I mean,
but it happens all the time in all kinds of media. Like if you were to view a bombing, a stabbing, a shooting, you and whoever you're with are going to bond over that rather than be repelled by it.
One of the biggest takeaways I had for the film was one, that the institution doesn't give a fuck about you. So like teachers, whoever is like, they literally had these kids in class with blood on them and they didn't care.
Oh, yeah, blood all over their lab coats.
Yeah, and they were just like, fuck it, like that's just what happens. You had the one teacher who said he did not like people who were excellent by nature, like that she was naturally gifted, and he hated having her in class because he felt like it ruined everybody else's mood. Like they were all trying to compare themselves to her, which is like one of the most harsh things you could probably hear from a teacher.
It's so dumb to me because like institutions are like school are made to, or at least try to present the fact that you could do what you want,
right,
and be your own person.
The other thing was that the main character, she's severely punished throughout the whole film because of her sexual desires, which is a running theme in most films. And it's a unique take for the director herself, because she must be exploring possibly how she felt, or maybe how some women feel when they are exploring their own sexuality and then everybody else doesn't like it. They think it's like a grotesque thing. And so it's translated literally into cannibalism, where she's consuming somebody else because they feel like it's too overwhelming for somebody to be acting this way, which is weird because they had their like straight up parties where they're kind of encouraged to be sexually active with each other. But then as soon as she got to a certain level, as in like she was biting and like there was blood involved, they were like, whoa, this is like not okay. And so she then has to go through that.
You should probably not bite chunks out of people while you're fucking them without their consent.
Yeah, because you'll later find that the dad was totally cool with this.
Yeah. Eesh.
That was such a great plot point, like twist to all of it. I mean, they even make reference that mom and dad went to this university as well, and they got hazed. So I can only imagine that they had to go through this stuff for most likely years. There's so many pictures on this wall in this room.
Several classes.
Of several freshman classes.
So that's a question I brought up earlier that I want to know your opinions about is, did them going to this university trigger this cannibalism to come out, or would it have happened either way at a certain point?
That's a super hard one, because you essentially find out that it's genetic. Like for that family, like all the women in that family experience the same thing. So then I kind of have to wonder, did the mom send them there on purpose, knowing that they would be able to have a source of stuff to eat.
I don't think so. I think the parents did their best to keep their kids away from cannibalism or like becoming that way by being vegetarian, by keeping them that way, because they knew that if they tasted meat, it would trigger the thing. So I think that it happens immediately after she eats the kidney.
Yeah, she gets like a reaction to it as well. So, but that's the thing though, is that why do they send them there anyway if they knew that would happen? Because the mom must have known that would happen. So then you're like, is she okay with them doing this? And
she's probably in on it.
She's,
makes me wonder if she's trying to create a league of cannibal women to take over the town.
But she also expresses big disdain for when there's a meatball in her mashed potatoes. Well, earlier on, it's like, what have you been allergic, huh? This is unacceptable.
This strikes me though as like say. You've seen people sometimes where they will, say, recover from very serious illness or addiction, and then they will turn around and then be very upset at people who are addicted to the same thing they just recovered from. This felt like that to me, where she seemed to have gotten over it, but then was like absolutely disgusted with her kids for having gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, because she even is like aggressively having the daughter sit in the wheelchair after leaving, when she's perfectly capable of getting up and walking.
Yeah.
So it's like there's weird moments with the parents, but then you don't really ever see them again. Like you don't see the mom after that beginning part of it. But I don't think it was like a huge thing they wanted to explain. But it is weird. Like it's a weird thing that happens. It could also be that all the things combined made it worse for her. Like literally having blood poured on you, having to eat that, and then being
forced to party.
Yeah. It's like, you're kind of like at a catalyst point for a lot of things to happen. So it's a weird experience. So speaking on that though, is the violence too much? Do you think that she went too far as what she was portraying?
She could have done more.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like she could have been more gnarly with it. I mean, it's fair. I mean, for the average person, it's fairly grotesque, sure, but it didn't really bother me enough for me to like get up and be like, I'm done, can't handle this anymore. No.
I know for a fact that the director said if you regard this as a horror movie, then she discredits your opinion.
Oof.
It is not a horror movie to her. She says that it is a psychological coming-of-age dark comedy with a little bit of tinge of horror and thriller in there.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
That's definitely what we immediately got out of it. And she's very much interested in exploring how overwhelming a coming of age can be for somebody who's young.
Plus, I feel like a lot of times with horror, there's somewhat of an element of fantasy to it.
Yeah.
But in this case, everything that occurred could have easily occurred in any given setting.
Yeah, it's grotesque and dark, but it definitely is things that could happen.
Yeah, there's nothing exceptionally supernatural except for the fact that these people seem to have a genetic disposition to cannibalism.
Right.
But even still, like, that is a genetic thing, something you could kind of sort of maybe explain with science. It's not some sort of curse that was placed on the family.
There's definitely a moment in the movie where she like leans heavily into being okay with it. The main character, like she has her like teen cringe moment in front of the mirror where she's dancing, and then like goes to party, but then gets like, so the part that confused me was her relationship with her sister, where at times it seems like they're very much bonding, and then other times they just straight up ridicule her. Like she embarrasses her in front of everybody, and then I couldn't figure out the dynamic. And I don't know if it's because I have no siblings and like I just never had to deal with stuff like that. But I was like, damn, like they go through a lot of shit and then kind of fix that like towards the end.
Having siblings helps a lot in this conversation.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I have a brother. We did dumb shit when we were younger, like
Peeing in the bushes together.
Peeing in the bushes together. We shat in the bushes. That's what it was.
No.
Like, and then laughed about it because we thought poop. Because you think poop's funny when you're 14.
I'm glad I got that on recording that you just said that.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
that's totally a thing.
This will live on in eternity,
bro. I mean, but that was like honestly one of the most like, because that shit that's very real. You know what I mean? Just being like that comfortable with each other because you're both brother and sister, or fucking, sisters or siblings or whatever it is. You're just very comfortable with each other. So it's like this shit's just kind of funny. And especially when you're young, you're gonna do dumbass shit that you don't think is inappropriate or weird.
For me, I have two sisters. It's not the same as that, but I can only imagine if they were to see this movie, they would probably understand the dynamic of it. Trying to like swap clothes, saying that you stole shit, like you don't want to wear this, get the fuck out of my room, like always like fighting, but then at the end of the day hugging it out. Like they have that wonderful fighting scene at the end holy shit, she gets super drunk at a party, and then they're like playing with her like to almost eat a cadaver.
Yeah.
Which I don't know where they got the body from, but they have a body.
There's a morgue next to the vet school because it's like a med school that includes
human stuff.
Like that includes a morgue for the like I don't know how to explain it. Regular doctors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's obviously the vet techs, and then there's the people who are learning who are becoming medical doctors for animals.
So after this like video surfaces online, everyone seems to ostracize her. So then she goes up to her sister, and they
honestly bullshit. Are you serious? That's the one thing that you guys it's too much. After you've done all this shit, you're like, oh no, this person tried to eat it. Like, you guys do weird shit. Like, how is that the thing that makes you not want to hang out with this girl? If anything, I feel like that would make you kind of cool in whatever weird universe that they have. So I was just confused by that.
Also, probably known as the girl that ate her sister's finger after cutting it off with sharp scissors.
Well, the thing is the sister didn't tell anybody.
Oh.
Yeah,
they said the dog ate it.
Yeah, they said the dog ate it.
She made like a brief remark when her mom was there.
Oh, the dog.
That's why the dog gets put down.
Oh,
and that's why she's dissecting that dog later.
Yeah,
which
was
just
so fucked up.
Yeah, that's the gnarly part.
Yeah.
But you see, here's I have to compare this movie to her other.
Yeah,
that makes
sense.
And I just think that it's the same kind of thing that I felt with Get Out versus Us. Also, where it has a clear message that it's trying to convey, but one does it in a way that's more where I think that the message is clearer in one of them. Like, it's much better portrayed and like, I wouldn't say explained, but it's shown in a more like accessible way where you can like absorb what they're telling you, and you can absorb the scenes and see how all of these are symbolic of the thing. And I feel like this movie in particular, I feel like Raw doesn't do it as well as Titan did. At least I think. I think that it's a lot less clear in this one.
Well,
like what
we
she's
did go
at.
backwards as far as her movies go. So this is her debut, and then Titan was after a few years of writing and doing this film. So it's probably that she's more refined in her message and writing. So I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying like one is a little bit like more abstract, almost to the point it's a little bit overly abstract to the point where you're kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? But when I watched Titan, I was like, okay, I know exactly where you're going. I get this vibe. I understand.
I feel like we need to talk about the school itself. What the fuck is this vet school? Like, why are they like this? What is the appeal of doing something like this?
Did we just touch on the idea that they're like preparing them to actually be
They
vets?
never mentioned that. But
they don't mention that, but that's like the
you can draw your assumptions trying to rationalize what they're doing, but honestly, a lot of it's pretty irrational. It's a lot of power play, honestly.
Yeah.
And I would even say it's commentary about people in the medical field oftentimes get a real power kick about having literal people's lives, and in this case, animals' lives. And I think a lot of people like the aspect of animals because they're small things that'll never talk back to you. They'll do what you say. For the most part, depends on what kind of animal you have, of course. But like dogs, for example, are very obedient. More so than people are, and these people are exercising their power over other people as if they were animals as well.
Yeah, that's a great thing that you bring up because there's that whole scene where she's walking down a hall, and then a higher up elder is like, why are you looking straight ahead when I'm walking past you? I'm an elder. Look down on the floor. And she doesn't do it enough, so she pulls her face down, and she's like, why aren't you wearing the right clothes that you're doing? It's party night. You have to do this. You have to do this. I think it's ultimately like, I know in some schools in America they did this some kind of experimentation.
Oh yeah.
What was that case?
Stanford.
Yeah, the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah.
It's basically like that, but on a larger scale. So the lack of like adult or like teacher approval of any of this, like
or intervention,
interaction, like
intervention.
Yeah,
intervention.
It should be pointed out that the Stanford prison experiment was absolute horseshit because it was not a proper experiment. Like, as in, it didn't have all the factors that would be included in a realistic scientific experiment.
Yeah.
It was like you mentioned, it was definitely a power play by both the professor and the people who were the prison guards.
It could just be a power play, but I know like if this were to happen in the U.S., it would be shut down immediately.
I don't know, but there's a lot of bullying and hazing that still happens regardless.
Yeah.
But at this certain level where you're having kids all come in with blood all over themselves,
That's probably the only one that was kind of unbelievable.
Well,
but
Well, all right. We have 3 people chiming in. So I just want to make one point. I heard an account of hazing in which it was said that pledges were allowed to be puked upon by the upper members of the group, and someone in the dorm, a pledge that was going to their because that's what they're called apparently.
Yeah.
Was in class, and one of the seniors just walked into the dorm, not the dorm, but the lecture hall, puked on them, and then left. And nobody did anything about it.
oh my god, where was this at?
I don't know what school. This is just an anecdote from
Oh
a
my
thread that I was
God.
reading through with people's like accounts of what they've seen happen. So it was like weird, gross things like that.
I mean, I think the most uncomfortable scene for me wasn't even her eating raw meat or like dealing with eating corpses or eating a person's cheek. It was when she wakes up because there's a party downstairs and she goes down, they throw blue paint on her and they grab a yellow dude. They shove him in a closet, lock it, and say, "Don't come out until you guys are both green." Like that has to be so uncomfortable to just be forced to like do something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Ugh.
I was going to bring up a point since we're talking about this wouldn't happen in America. So have you guys heard about correctional schools?
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the more famous ones is the one Paris Hilton went to, the Provo Canyon Correctional Facility.
Crazy.
Which is essentially, they market as a boarding school for troubled youth where they teach them to be disciplined and set them straight, when in a lot of cases, these people are doing borderline, if not straight up abusive, illegal things to these kids, like forcing them into hard labor, not feeding them, constantly ridiculing them, in some cases, actual physical abuse, like beating the shit out of them, leaving them in solitary confinement for weeks where there's literally no light anywhere. It's a hard concrete floor, and letting them stay there for weeks on end. That, in a lot of cases, is simply just a power play. They're trying to exert this sort of power over these children, which is insanely fucked up, in order to teach them to be more submissive and more obedient towards other people. It's basically traumatizing people into being good, quote unquote good, in the eyes of whoever's trying to oppress or take advantage of them.
What's that, Justine? Drink your Coca-Cola. Whoa, see?
Yeah.
It's like that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you should be conformed to this little box, and we're going to make you know the box is there.
You know, maybe they don't throw pig blood on people, but we don't know that for sure, because a lot of these places have what's called code silence, where they are basically sign a document saying that they're not going to talk about anything that goes on in these schools. And what we do know is only what people have chosen to share. But I mean, if you really, really traumatize someone, they're probably not going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, there's history of all kinds of weird fucking rituals done in sororities.
Yeah,
fraternities.
So there's been a lot of changing. So originally, I think people thought of it as a rite of passage, which is originally meant to be not a like derogatory thing. Like it was something to include you into a group and bring you in.
Yeah.
And then it got changed into literal hazing, where it's like they get to do whatever they want to somebody because they themselves went through it. And so it then becomes something where they only join it because they want to deliver that pain and trauma to someone else.
Makes me think of something else, how we're talking about the power play between humans and animals, is how oftentimes, at least back in the day before people started making laws against animal abuse, is that's how people would train their dogs or their horses to behave, is by abusing them. Like I remember, even I've seen my grandpa do it with one of my old dogs, is she was getting old and kind of confused, and she would shit in the house, and he would shove her nose in the shit and then like beat her basically in order to teach her not to shit in the house. But I'm like, yo, she's old. Like, she doesn't know any better. She's potty trained. But people used to do that a lot with their animals. They would beat them in order to teach them not to do something. And the same way that these people are doing with humans is they're essentially beating them down, breaking their spirit in order to make them do as they wish.
there is also a small conversation in the film where they discuss the sentience of, say, like a chimpanzee or something.
Yeah.
And how the AIDS epidemic had rumors about how it started, that supposedly somebody had sex with a monkey that had AIDS, which is not what happened. And so they discuss that, and then they talk about, does any of these animals have any sentience, and how do we feel about it? So they do talk about it right at the get-go while they're eating the said animals, which is also kind of fucked. So they bring in smaller conversation throughout the whole film.
You know, it's an interesting thing that I remember seeing. So we're talking about people being viewed as like animals in this one, like that comparison's being drawn. And then you have the scene where the two sisters are fighting, and then the people holding them back by their collars.
Yes.
And they look like they're rabid dogs.
Yeah.
Like both of them look like are acting like that. Yeah. It was this was not an accident that it was shot like that.
They also make them crawl on their hands and knees to go into the party at the beginning, which looks like they're herding sheep or something like that.
Oh yeah, like the entire time I was just like, wow, look at all these people just conform. Not say a single word to each other either in the elevator.
Yeah, there was no words exchanged. There's not a single word of protest. Maybe one person was like, what's going on? And then they just went along with it. It kind of gave the impression that if they went along with it, they would be rewarded by getting to be a part of whatever party that they were going to. Because as far as I could see, they were getting like free booze and drugs and all that stuff. So like that's enough for some people to go through that sort of conformity.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, they spend a lot of time on the chaotic environment that she's a part of and how that changes a lot about who she is as she goes through the transformation of wanting to eat more and more.
So where do you see the symbolism like eating meat come in then? Like her just going through her she gets the kidney, then she starts eating raw fish in the fridge, and then it just escalates from there to a point where she starts eating people.
I took it pretty literally, as far as like, even now, a lot of people are not okay with women having an outwardly positive sexual experience. And so she sort of is then shamed for doing something that everybody does, which is eat meat. And so she then gets shamed for doing this over and over again. And as she goes and discovers it, it's like a direct parallel to what it is she was interested in sexually and how it wasn't okay. And in her mind, she keeps getting told that it's not okay. And this is sort of a thing that keeps happening where like you have these reoccurring waves of positivity around sexuality, but it almost always will go the other direction. After having a positive thing, people will then be like, no, that's too much. Especially in regards to how women are expressing their sexuality. It's always okay for men to do these things, but when women do it, they're not cool with that. And so that ends up being a thing she's having to deal with, whereas it's not actually about her eating people. It's about her own sexual appetite and how it was never really like met throughout the whole thing. And then she has to deal with that because nobody's willing to kind of help her through that.
Where's the sister line up in this?
For her sister, she's gone to the same thing. And I think she's not too far off in the future from her. So like this is where they bond. They're both women experiencing the same thing in the same environment. And this is sort of what happens when people are like trauma bonded. So
do you believe that if the main character goes back to the school, she'll probably be at her sister's level at some point?
Yes, but I also don't think that the point of the story was that she would return.
Yeah.
I think the point of the story was also that she was somehow changing something about her family's trajectory and what they would be doing. But it also is a little bleak because you end up finding out, of course, that the dad dealt with that with the mom, and then the mom must have been in some sort of like recovery, like she hadn't been doing that stuff, aka why she's a vegetarian. But she mentions really often that she constantly felt hungry. Even when she was eating just vegetables, she felt empty.
Yeah.
So this is sort of the idea of the insatiable greed, the insatiable hunger for things, and or just repressed sexual feelings that she might not understand. And they even touch on this with the gay character, where he kind of becomes unsure at some point. He gets really mad where he's like, I didn't hide for 20 years to start fucking women now. Like, this isn't the thing that I wanted to do. And so you then have to wonder what kind of environment would make them question something they might have known like their whole life. So there's a lot. It's a lot that she put into to be explored that kind of, I think, gets covered up by the like super grotesque violence of it all.
Oh man, I just remembered that like she even tried to steal a burger at one point.
Which I wasn't sure why.
It's that thing that you're talking about where like everyone else is eating meat, and so she just tries to do something normal and she gets ridiculed for it.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point. Yeah, she couldn't. It doesn't seem like she could do anything that was acceptable to everybody else around her because it seemed like they kind of had it out for her for like a good amount of the film. You're like, oh, they really don't like her or her sister. And it came out a lot while they were going through all their classes and stuff like that. It's crazy how her being in vet school is like secondary to what the main story is. Like, she has no stresses about passing the classes. It's just all about this transformation she's going through.
Yeah.
So what are some things you did like about the film, though? Were there things that stood out to you?
I like the soundtrack, the all-French soundtrack, as always, from this director, bringing in the good beats.
Yeah.
I really like the bisexual lighting in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
I think some of the shots are really well done.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was going to be more gory and more intense.
Yeah.
There was never a part where I couldn't look away. Except I kind of tweaked a little during the hairball scene.
Yeah, so I think while I am used to seeing a lot of the horror aspects of these films, I think the film itself is truly disturbing in a lot of ways, as far as like things that we are not comfortable with, things we're not comfortable viewing are very much brought in front of you, and you have to watch it to know how the story plays out.
We're also very, like you said, we're very fucking desensitized now.
Yep.
And not just us as the podcast members talking about horror films. As a general thing, most of the American population is cool with a lot of violence and stuff. It's the sex things that actually get a lot of people.
Yeah. As soon as you make the woman a mermaid and guinea pig, that things get weird.
Oh shit! Have you seen that movie yet?
Those Japanese movies are crazy, man.
Did you see Mermaid in a Manhole? Fuck yeah!
We talked about that a long time ago.
But did you watch it?
Dog.
No. Did you watch it?
Yes.
Oh, good. This fist bump means something then.
We should revisit that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that
and
movie.
Talk about that.
I'm used to the hyper violence like from Tokyo, where it's just like people are losing arms, they're mutants, they're like ripping each other's faces off. They got guns in their boobs, guns in their hands.
You're saying this as you wear a Tokyo Gore Police shirt.
Yeah.
For reals.
Yeah.
Which is real, yeah.
So I'm just like, so when people get kind of like grossed out about, her eating a finger, her eating a whole shoulder, the entire thigh of a person missing.
Well, the sister did that.
Yeah, her sister did that.
I was just like, damn, okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that
it hurts more because it's personal.
Yeah, that's what it is, I think. Towards the end there, you start to get really invested in what's going to happen to her at the end of the story because of how much stuff you've gone. It's essentially that you've gone through it with her. And you're now like kind of attached to her and to the character at the end of it. And you want her to get out of it.
Did you guys have anything you liked in the movie?
Party.
Knows how to fucking film a party scene.
Fuck yeah.
I think that the that scene, like not the first car crash scene, but the second one where the sister just rolls herself out into the middle of the road to get the car to crash, just so she's like, I killed these people so you could eat them. Like,
it's dark.
Yeah, that shit.
She starts eating them.
And then she just
starts eating the brains.
Yeah.
Like good shit. She is a zombie. Officially.
I really enjoyed the visuals as far as like it's kind of a surreal story that exists in this weird universe.
We were talking about this, that a lot of these scenes feel like dream sequences that she's gonna wake up from, but they never do.
Yeah, this is her reality, which is really fucked.
No, several times I was just like, okay, she's gonna wake up from this, like the withdrawal scene.
Yeah,
which was like directly inspired from Train Spotting for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. That makes sense.
It definitely looked like, okay, she's going to wake up, be in a cold sweat. No, it never came. She was literally fucking screaming in her bed.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit. No one, although it does look like at some point people came in and like were smacking the top of her sheet, but you can't confirm it. So like none of the stuff you can confirm in the story, which makes it even more concerning because you're like, I don't know what's actually happening to her and what's not.
What's real?
Yeah, essentially what's real and what's not.
Did you guys have a favorite scene?
I feel like the scene where she eats the sister's finger is like where the film goes like full tilt. Like this is kind of when you know what's essentially going to happen, and like it's just gross. Like it's
you have
just
that oh shit moment when the scissors cut.
Oh god, man! I fucking like sitting in the couch. I was like, oh fuck! Like the fucking finger's gone. Like it's really
the Brazilian wax scene where.
Yeah,
like from
that
the so they rip off the first one, no problem, and then when it gets stuck, I get squeamish because I'm like, oh, she's just gonna. I've seen Titante. She's just gonna fucking rip the flesh right off there, right?
Coming off.
Didn't happen, but I was anticipating that.
Yeah, yeah, well, definitely stuff that'll make you squeamish.
So the Brazilian was your favorite scene?
Oh no, that one in particular was just really upsetting. I think my favorite scene might actually be when she wakes up and like her roommate is dead, and his
it looks like a sweet moment.
You're like, she's like, oh yes, I woke up to this, my friend. It was so great, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, he's got a hole in him. Oh, and half of his leg's missing. Oh, he's very dead. Oh,
well, it looked like she was about to initiate some sex scene with him.
Yeah, she was going out. She was like, "Oh, where's his wiener?" And then didn't find it.
Pulls her hand back and it's bloody. Yeah, so that was the thing.
I think mine was the Brazilian wax scene. Only because relatable. Those things are scary.
Oh god,
that area right around there,
sensitive. A lot could go wrong down there.
A lot can go wrong. She's like, it's my pussy. I'm going to do what I want with it.
She really does shout that.
Say that. Yeah, it's like, it's my pussy.
It's like, my pussy and I want it now.
Yeah. I want it now.
The J.G. Wentworth fucking commercial shit. Holy fuck.
Hi, Kiki.
What a weird, surreal commercial universe.
Speaking of pussy.
Yeah, my cat ran by like with the quickness when we said that.
She's zooming.
I will say that my favorite scene is after she... that's the thing. It's like a very uncomfortable scene, but after she gets pulled away from the party covered in blue and yellow, biting that dude's lip, she goes home and she can't wash off the paint. And so she finally like reaches in the back and she gets a morsel of flesh inside her fucking like stuck in her teeth, and she eats it and immediately all the paint washes off. She immediately feels relieved.
Oh, dang, that's a small detail.
Interesting.
I didn't notice that's kind of what had happened.
Also, something I noticed, the dude that got his lip like bitten in half, basically, the father. Yeah. When you see him at the end, I don't know how I didn't notice this in the beginning, but you get a close-up of his face, and he has a scar on his lip as well.
Yeah, which means that they must have been in a similar scenario.
He said, quote, I knew what it was going to be from the first time that she kissed me.
Yeah.
So
and he was cool with it.
So at that point, I mean... If, the guy would have been into it.
Yeah, she would have been
They would have had another generation.
I mean, low-key, okay, when they were fucking, she was trying to eat him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, nah, but like kind of just kept letting it happen. Eventually, she ends up biting her own arm. But then afterwards, he like pets her head like, it's okay. I got you.
Yeah, it was an interesting scene.
It's okay. You're nuts. That's fine.
Terrible.
You're insane.
I definitely got like a little bit of Last Night in Soho vibes from this too. A little bit. Just from a girl going on to her own, doing her thing.
Yeah, definitely. If it wasn't the finger eating scene, it was definitely the last scene with the dad who's like reveals more about the story, and you're just like, you kind of confirm the whole way through. Like there's been a lot going on.
Also makes you wonder, is it acceptable at the school, and are more people like this?
True. So this could be a thing that they're aware of and allow to happen because people are going through their experiencing this. Like they're cannibals.
Yo, this makes the assumption that there might be a secret alumni group that knows.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. yeah. There's a whole kind of secret hidden thing underneath all of it. So then what would you guys rate it?
I'm going to give this one a strong 9. I think it was well done in all aspects of filmmaking. My only gripe with it is that I like practical effects and gore. I would have loved to see more of it. But what's presented is really strong and really animalistic and really sexual in nature. And it's a reprieve to show that kind of stuff. and the kind of trauma in this certain way. I give it a solid 9 from myself.
If I compare this film to Titan, I would give it a 7. But by itself, without me, I'm just going to imagine a world where I have not seen Titan. Then I'll give it an 8. And the only reason why is because I feel like this director it's very clear that this is like not her first movie, maybe her first like big movie, I would imagine. I'm sure she has like little short films and stuff floating around somewhere that she's done.
I would love to see those.
Right. I'm curious, like for sure. But I feel like she had a much stronger message in Titan and was able to communicate it better than she did in this movie in particular. That's just how I see
the
things.
disdain in your voice when you said this movie.
No, I don't want it to sound like that. Like I enjoyed the movie. Like after our discussions, I always appreciate it more. Which is why I'm saying like if I hadn't seen Titan, I would have given this an 8 rather than a 7. But yeah.
I'm honestly in the same boat as Murr. I want to give this movie a 9 for pretty much the same reasons. I thought that the storyline was interesting. The conversation and depth of the plot points is really interesting as well. Not to mention the kind of reaction that you can get out of your audience. I feel like if you are an artist, you want to get some sort of reaction, whether that makes them happy, sad, or in this case, terribly uncomfortable. I think that's a really amazing goal to be able to meet within your work. But I also just wanted a little bit more gore. Which I never say that.
You don't
say that, yeah.
A little more focus on the cannibalism and a little bit less on the drama, I think would have done this movie a lot of help.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Even some discussion between the sisters about their new thing.
what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
They don't really talk about it. Like they know, but they never say anything about it.
The sister knows and kind of just guides her through some stuff. I don't remember what I gave to Tan. I'm pretty sure. Did I give it a 10?
We gave it 10s all around.
Yeah. I'm giving this one a 10 too. The main reason why is because I can't heap on enough praise for this director in particular. So it's like I'm definitely a new like she's one of my new favorites because she fully commits to the original ideas that she's created, regardless of what anybody's going to think about it. In this case, I don't think more gore would have worked for the film because then it would have been not rooted in the coming of age story. It would have then become something that was like a B-list Grindhouse film. And that would have changed the whole vibe about what she was trying to make in the first place. And like you mentioned, she doesn't think it's a horror film.
Yep.
So this would have placed it into the category of creating a horror film when that wasn't her intention to start with.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think what she intended to make in the first place is exactly what she did. And it's really good. It's a crazy surrealist piece of work that is hard to like, she's making her own signature as far as what these films are. So I hope she keeps getting more money to make stuff like this because it's different than what you've been seeing.
I mean, my comments about it really don't mean that I disliked the movie or anything like that. I absolutely want to see what else she decides to make later for sure.
Well, she's coming out during a great like era for horror film movie makers. You know, she's coming up during the same time as like Ari Aster, as being able to make like crazy films like that, being able to do films kind of like Robert Eggers. You also have
Karen Kusama.
Karen Kusama has been doing stuff, but she keeps getting snubbed over and over again, which is bullshit. But that's a whole nother discussion. You have Jordan Peele now, who's making all these films. So like, it's a great time to be making some horror films along with all these peers.
And it's a great time for the industry right now because there's so much open space now for people. So if you're new and up and coming, this is the time to jump in entertainment in general.
Yeah.
Definitely. So it's a 10 for me. I love this movie and her other movie.
Go check out Raw, and if you like this movie,
it's actually kind of hard to find. You should just buy it. Go buy the DVD and watch it because I had a hard time finding it online.
Who watches DVDs anymore?
That
Y'all
was
even
like-
have a DVD player?
do.
They don't sell digital versions of this.
No.
It's only for rent or DVD. Yeah, you rent it through a streaming service, but like you don't get to keep it.
Ooh.
So the only way to actually like keep a copy of it is still DVDs.
How exclusive.
I mean, the Criterion collection still does this. They still sell DVDs, so it's like, you know.
I actively buy DVDs.
Yeah.
And
You get them
Blu-rays.
from like discount stores, Book Off, things like that.
Yeah.
It's just totally worth it.
And like classics are like $5 each. You guys have any final thoughts? Oh, yeah. If you like this episode about us talking about Raw, check out where we talk about another movie of hers, Titan.
Yeah, and you should also check out the Neon Demon episode.
That too.
Also, but that's one that also deals with cannibalism, doesn't it? Or no? Or is that the other one with the
It
models?
does deal with cannibalism because the models try to eat the girl.
Yeah, that is Neon Demon. Okay, cool. I was thinking of Black Rainbow.
That one's different.
That's that's much different, Mitch. Yes, it is.
Is Cosmanos? That's the guy that
Yeah,
did
Panos
Panos Cosmatos.
coming out with a new
How
film.
do you say his last name?
Cosmatos?
Cosmatos?
Coming out with a new film within the next year or two.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Which one? What's it called?
I don't know.
Oh, I didn't
But
know.
I read the tagline of what it's going to be. Sounds like it's a step in the right direction.
All right.
All right. You want me to do the outro?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Hey, Mitch. I get really bored sometimes. I just want to hang out with some people. Where do I go?
Where you go? Oh, dude, you know what you should do? Check out our fucking Discord. The Discord for the podcast. Yeah.
Whoa, where can I get the link?
I'm pretty sure it's in our link tree on our Instagram and Facebook and all that fun stuff.
Oh, cool. What can I do there?
What you do? Oh, you can talk to us about horror movies. You can talk to us about, I don't know, your life. You know, if you've got some problems, you know, and you really just need someone to talk to, you know, we can be there for you.
Can I share memes?
Oh, hell yeah. We love memes.
Can I share not safe for work memes?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an NSFW chat. It's sick.
Can I talk about video games and other things?
Hell yeah,
okay.
dude.
Cool.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna join
God.
the Discord right now.
You know what, Mer? This sounds like the perfect place for you. Actually, you know, if you're friendless and you want some friends, you get on our Discord, and we'll be your friends.
Yeah, go to the link on all our social medias. It'll send you to every link.
Well, I love watching people play video games. Do you guys do something like that?
Oh, you know what, Mer? Yes, actually, we do have a Twitch. Sometimes, you know, we stream ourselves playing games. You know, even our you know, one of our co-hosts over here, John. He's got his own little Twitch thing that he's doing where he plays Genshin Impact and he gets all weeby. It's funny.
It's great.
Sick.
Yeah, check it out, dude.
I want to support you financially, but I don't know how to. How can I do that?
Fuck, you just gotta find the Patreon, my guy.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, it's you know what Patreon is. Most people do, but it's one of those things where you give money to creators and then you're supporting them. You know,
what do I get
some
for
cool
it?
Oh yeah, you can recommend a movie for us to cover for $2 a month.
Is anything else?
I mean, and you get some exclusive content from us that we make on the side, like Monsters with Mer, Horror and Gaming with Mitch, Cryptids with Justine, and then also John was going to do his own side segment of stuff, I think, was like his final thoughts, or he had a, Conspiracy Hour. That's another one, yeah.
We did also do an episode of the Conspiracy Hour.
Oh, wait.
Which is out on our major
Yes, it should
streaming
be out.
As well
platforms.
as the first episode of Sci-Fi Corner.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, our first sci-fi episode, too. Yeah,
Well,
no.
I don't know this because I don't work on the podcast.
Not at all. No, Mer. Of course not.
Anywhere else I could support you financially?
Right now, actually, you have your wallet?
Oh,
Give me your money.
I would like some new...
Oh, you
some
would
new
like some
threads.
merch? Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, we have a Teespring up with we got shirts. We have sick drinking glasses, pint-sized ones with us as little chippy characters on them. It's
I love that.
cute. Yeah, we have some shirts. Yeah, hats too. Hell yeah,
whoa.
some trucker caps. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you need new threads, my guy,
Dad caps too?
we got you. Oh, dad caps for sure.
Okay. Well, I want to send your stuff to my friends, but I don't know where to look. Where do I go?
Oh, to every streaming service that podcasts are available. You know, you could go on Spotify. You could go on Stitcher.
You can Google us.
You can, yeah, we're on fucking Google, dude.
Go and Google it, and we're the first one. Bringing
you just
down
check it out.
Grindhouse.
Hey.
Yeah.
You guys got social media?
Hell yeah, we got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Sheesh. Yeah. Whole bunch.
Wow. I feel very informed now. Thank you, man.
Oh, I'm so glad I could help you with
I
this,
know
Mer.
exactly what to do to support my friends.
Yeah, no. Great. Yeah, support
And
your friends.
myself.
All right. I'm Mitch.
I'm Murray.
I'm Justine.
No, I'm Jonathan. Thank you.
Rushy!